I saw this posted on Facebook mid last week, and it's a fascinating storyline from back at, I think this is Declo.
Yes. I love it whenever Hunter talks about posts that he sees.
So
it always leads to fun convo, yeah.
I'm going to read you this post. So if anyone needs another reason to dislike Nate Heinold, this is me reading the post. This is not my words. Clarify that because his first sentence is pretty condemning if it was my words. If anyone needs another reason to dislike Nate Heinold, this is from a live UDisc scoring volunteer. Another situation from Sunday, albeit a non-factor in the outcome at the top, was an issue Heinold brought up to the group I was doing UDisc scoring for. I had the 12:27 p.m. MPO scheduled tee time. The DGPT delayed my card start to 12:30 due to the FPO chase or third card coming up on 18 at the time. At 12:27, Luke Humphreys wasn't there yet, but we weren't starting yet. At 12:30, our card starts getting called off with our first player teeing. Luke was next. And as he is being introduced, he is running up and runs to the tee and makes his shot. Our card moves on with no issue and no delay other than the DGPT delay. On hole 3, Heinold walks up and tells Luke he's getting a par +4 penalty for being absent at the start of the round. The players on the card then spend 5 minutes arguing with Heinold on hole 3's tee about how they don't agree. Luke and the group then spend about 20 minutes after the round at the scorer's table trying to figure out how he decided that Luke didn't make the start of his round when he was there on time to throw his first shot. Oh wait, it gets better. Luke asked for Heinold to appeal it to the rules committee on the tee of 3, and walking up to the tee of 4, Heinold came scootering up to say it would stand per the rules committee. After the round, Luke said he would appeal it again, and it sparked another conversation with Heinold. Heinold cited 811F.5. Luke wanted to see the rule. Heinold wouldn't pull it up, so I brought it up on the PDGA app and handed it over to Luke. The rule says 811.F.5 absent. If a player is not present at the start of their round for their assigned group, the player is considered absent and does not play the hole. A player is also considered absent if the player has not played the previous hole and is not present when their group is ready to start on a hole. The absent player receives a score of par +4 for each hole not played. Par is determined by the director. Mm-hmm. The issue is the group of the round started at 12:30, not 12:27, so it was a non-issue that Heinold was making an issue. Here's the deal. Originally, I was like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. Then I read the rule again. Nate Heinold was right.
This is the start of the round,
it's
and
the start of
somebody
the round.
had already teed off.
Luke Humphreys was not there at the start of that card's round. So technically, by the rule, 100%, Luke Humphreys should have been par +4 by the rule book, period. Now, how it was handled, probably not the best. I mean, rolling up on 3 to let a player know, I understand that because the rule is enforced. You get par +4. The player needs to know where they're at, and they don't just look at their scorecard and see. So I understand him showing up, and I understand there's going to be a discussion. Where it probably should have been left is, I'm going to appeal to the rules committee. Heinold's like, okay, that's fine. Goes to appeal to the rules committee. Rules committee obviously is going to side with the rule, which is Luke Humphreys was late, par +4. Just let that stand and explain it after the round. Rolling back up on 4 and reigniting it.
It is an interesting one because, when I read the rule thing at first, because when I first was reading through the whole thing, I was like, this is so silly. Like, he was there to throw his shot. Like, who cares? But then, if you want to play by the rules, and we should, it does say the start of the round. It doesn't say for your throw, right? Yeah. So that means from when the first person on your card is like at 12:30 on the dot. The problem is, I feel like I need more context. Like, when did he arrive?
Well, it says as he was being announced, he ran up, is what this guy says.
Right. And was he announced first on the card?
No, he was second.
Second on the card.
He was second.
So
someone argued teed off. As he's being introduced, he's running up.
If I was the TD, because I believe that rules are for a reason, but also if they're not interfering with anybody, then like, I don't know. Because like if I roll up, a guy is literally, he couldn't have been more than a minute or 2 late, but he's there to where the card wasn't delayed at all, and everybody on the card was like, it's completely fine. And remember, those are the only people who would be affected by this. Like everybody else on any other card, it's not changing their day at all. He's not cheating. There was, so like... Well,
technically he's cheating. Technically.
He's not gaining an advantage. I think cheating is breaking a rule to gain an advantage. This rule that he's having a disadvantage by showing up late and being stressed out. Would you not agree?
I don't know that. I would just consider like if you break a rule, you should be penalized.
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, I have no issue with a rule being enforced. I'm just saying in a game where rules can be very fluid, if I walked up and was like,
I probably wouldn't have said anything.
I probably would have just been like, you were late, like blah, blah, blah. And if everybody was like, it's fine, it's no big deal, you know, he was here for his shot, I would have been like, all right, that's fine. And
well, this is how I interpret it. Because first off, we do have to remember this is only one side of the card. And the person started off with, if you need another reason to dislike Nate Heinold.
That's the other problem. What makes me worry about this is like I kind of want to hear Nate Heinold's side of the story because I feel like there's not enough facts out there.
This is how I'm perceiving it from the back end, is for Nate Heinold to not say anything until hole 3 tells me that he most likely was not there at the tee. And he probably walked up and the starter was like, hey, Luke Humphreys, this is the situation. Heinold goes, oh, so he was absent. He needs to be par +4. Like he wasn't here for his tee time. And then probably was like, the starter was like, yeah, I'm not a fit, whatever. And then I was like, okay, I'll go tell him, and rolled down. Because I would imagine if Heinold was there, Luke would never thrown. He'd be like, nope, the round already started. You're late. You can start your round on hole 2. You get par +4 on the first hole.
Yeah,
that probably would have been the initial situation. By it not being enforced till hole 3 tells me Heinold didn't find out until hole 3. So in my mind, from the outside looking in, now again, I think the hole 3 situation was justified, fine, because the rule is the rule. The rule was broken. Heinold enforced the rule. We can't get mad at people for enforcing the rules. It's true. We've seen it happen where everyone's like, why didn't everyone call Nico on 30 seconds? You can't get pissed when someone does enforce a rule now. You don't get both sides.
It is true.
So Heinold rolls up on 3, enforces the rule. I disagree with him coming back on 4, personally. That's where I'm like, okay, that part, like, roll up on 3. Luke has every right to appeal to the rules committee. That should have been that. Like, hey, you have par +4. I'm going to appeal to the rules committee.
Yeah,
you have every right to do so.
It feels a little like I told you so to come back on hole 4.
So then you're out of there. You're done. You appeal to the rules committee. The rule stands because the rule is very clear where it was the start of the round. Right. And it's very clear Luke was not there.
It is interesting, too. Like, this guy writes this post in a very, like, matter-of-fact way when he says, I'd like to know, like, how Heinold arrived at the point that he was late for his round. And it's like, you literally wrote down the rule. It's quite clear. If he wasn't there when the round was starting, then he broke the rule. So, like, I almost want to hear each person's, like, side.
Well, I think
like, what the logic is there.
What it comes down to, I feel like,
I don't know.
This rule is very misunderstood in disc golf. Because I didn't know this was a technical rule. Yeah,
I got to be honest. I always thought it was for once your shot.
Because I've been on cards, and granted, this could have been
But it does make sense. Like, everybody should be held. Like, you shouldn't get... Because, like, if the rule wasn't written this way, then by going 4th on the card, you would have
an advantage.
More time.
Like, going 2nd on the card, you had more time.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So, like, that's why the rule has to be written this way.
It's the only place where you can really draw that line to where it's fair for everybody.
It's a tee time. Everybody has it.
The problem is that if he's like, okay, well, everybody on the card's fine with it and everything like that, and then doesn't call him on it, then the next day, if something marginally worse happens, but it's technically breaking the same rule. I mean,
it's also tough too because like their tee time got moved back. Like there was more time for him to get there.
Well, let's just call it how it is. You're a touring professional disc golfer. This is what you do for a living.
Yeah,
you know your tee time.
You got to be there.
How are you even showing up 3 minutes late?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that because like you could have got a flat tire. Like who knows?
Sure.
I mean, Sarah Hogan got in a car wreck that 1 year.
From tour life, it sounded like Luke Humphreys basically was like, I like just rolling up and playing.
I'm not
going to sympathize with that.
I can't really.
Sorry, you're a touring professional disc golfer. Warm up a little bit. Get there 30 minutes early, 40 minutes early, an hour early, and then you won't have a problem. The other side of this coin, too, you have to look at is, as a tournament director, it would technically be wrong to know a player messed up the rules and to not enforce it.
No, you can't.
Because now you as a tournament director, it's like, you can't play favorites. So if I don't enforce it for one person, but then like if it's Nico, I'm definitely going to enforce it. Like you can't play that card either. So
I would like to hear.
I think the only thing I have a problem with this situation is coming back on hole 4, and there might have been a reason for it. Again, this is only one side. Maybe he was like, "Look, I'll go appeal it. And I'll get right back to you." Right. Maybe that was said, and that's what he did. Whatever.
I would like to get more of the fact pattern.
Obviously, this made a lot of people very upset, and coming after Nate Heinold for more and more. And the more I read it, I was like, as much as I understand people want to come after Nate Heinold, I think he's in the right in this one.
It's a tough one when you've got like 4 guys on a card all like advocating against you when you're just trying to enforce a rule.
Look, this is the rule. Like, and the rule's black and white.
And everybody is like in love with the players, so it
is also tough. It was Luke Humphries.
Yeah, who's a very like everybody loves Luke Humphries.
At least it didn't par plus 4 Hogan, his dog.
Yeah, but like that is a tough place to be. But
well,
like,
I do think it's a thing.
If everybody's just gonna get mad at a guy for enforcing the rule, that's pretty annoying.
Yeah, well, I think it's a thing of players not knowing the technical rule because, like I said, I've been on a card. I was on a card with Lance Brown. He showed up late, and it was the first hole. And what we did, because at this time, this was a few years ago, and this might have been the rule a few years ago. But what we assumed was the rule is you obviously have 30 seconds to throw.
Yeah, so once you're announced,
what we did
is
Travis Chumley, I think, was the first guy on the card. He took his 30 seconds and then threw to give Lance as much time as possible. Then it was Lance was second on the card. I was third on the card. So Lance, we gave 30 seconds. We started a stopwatch, let the 30 seconds go. And then our card was even friendly because I took my 30 seconds. And before I threw. Because we were basically like, if Lance rolls up, we're not breaking any PDGA rules, we felt.
The tough thing, too.
So I feel like that would be a common thing for disc golfers to think. Is like, well, Luke Humphries has 30 seconds to throw, and he threw within that time. And it's like, well, no, according to this, as soon as the first player is announced, that's the start of the round for the assigned group, the player, if he's not there, par plus 4.
Yeah, and it does say for their assigned group, the start of the round for their assigned group.
At the start of the round for their assigned group.
The tough thing with PDGA rules, though, is there's always a little bit of ambiguity, like what does present mean? Like, could he be across the parking lot and he's like, hey, I'm here? Or does he have to be standing within a 10-foot radius of you? Like, what does the word present mean? And in this case, he might not have been anywhere to be seen. I'm sure he wasn't. Because I'm sure if they saw him running up, they probably would have never got to this point. I'm sure he wasn't even there at all.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Yeah, let us know in the comments if there's like if you interpret the rule differently. Because in my opinion, unless we're missing information or unless we're just somehow interpreting this rule that seems very clear wrong, then like it's pretty much case closed. Like if you're not there at the start of your tee time for your assigned group, you get par plus 4.
Yeah.
But let us know in the comments. I know a lot of people hate on Heinold, but don't give us that. Give us some real facts.
Well, that's what I do find it. I
don't care if you don't like them.
I always find it funny because this isn't the only time this has happened. But like, for instance, if it's a player like Nico, everyone's like, "Oh, dude, put me on his card. I'll call him. I'll call him." And then someone calls a rule on a player you like, and you're like, "What the frick, man? Don't call that." Like, you can't have both sides.
That's why you have rules.
I do feel like if the narrative of this story was Nico got called in this and then freaked out, like everybody would be like, "It's just the rules. You got to follow the rules."
Yeah, like if Luke Humphries called this on Nico,
it does feel that way.
Then everyone's siding with Luke Humphries. But it's because you have Heinold as the villain and Luke Humphries, or in this scenario, Heinold's the villain calling it, and Luke Humphries is the guy who's getting called on. Obviously, everyone's going to side with Luke Humphries.
That's the only way that the rules work is if every rule is called.
The rule can't care about who.
Anytime a rule is broken, it has to.
I will say the only other thing about the story that's weird and like was like wrong on Heinold's part is not pulling up the rule.
Again,
like why? Like I believe you were in the right, so all you had to do is read it to them.
I would like to hear Heinold's explanation on that.
Yeah, like is that true? Like,
it also sounds like there's a possibility that whole card was kind of ganging up on him too.
There's this is after the round, and because I agree, like just pull. There's no reason for him not to pull it up.
Just read it to him and be like, "Can you dispute that?" And
maybe
if the answer is no,
maybe
then
he didn't have his phone on him or something. Who knows?
Right.
But because like I agree, when I read that part, I was like, "Oh, dude, like Heinold."
Because if I'm trying to make a tough rules call, but then I read
the rule, and I'm like,
"Yeah,
he was definitely in the right."
If I'm trying to make a tough rules call, it's as simple as, "Okay, here's the rule. Ready? Read it. How do you dispute that? And if there's not a dispute, like a way to dispute that, because like, what's the appeal? This whole story too, like if the appeal was like if we are missing parts of this story and his whole appeal was no, I was there, I was literally like 100 feet away running towards the tee, then like okay, now I start to understand where the appeal comes into play. But if like he wasn't anywhere to be seen,
it sounded like from this one person's point of view, the argument was I was there when it was my turn to throw.
Yeah,
which that doesn't matter by the PDGA rule.
Yeah.